stop for a second. Every step you take might be training your body the wrong way, not in a dramatic, obvious way, in a quiet, slow way that builds up over years. Forward walking feels natural, it feels safe, it feels right, but that comfort hides a problem. The same movement, repeated again and again, is slowly creating imbalances inside your body. Your knees take stress they were never designed to handle alone. Your hips tighten without you noticing. Your posture begins to shift, little by little, until standing straight no longer feels normal. And the most surprising part is this: your brain stops paying attention. It goes on autopilot. The movement becomes automatic. And when something becomes automatic, your body stops improving and starts adapting in ways that are not always healthy. This is not about walking being bad. It is about doing only one type of movement for years without change. That is where the damage begins. Now here is where things take a turn that most people never expect. There is a simple movement that looks unusual, almost awkward at first, yet it directly challenges everything forward: walking breaks, walking backwards. It sounds too simple to matter. It looks too strange to be taken seriously. But beneath that simple action, something powerful begins to happen. Muscles that have been ignored for years suddenly wake up. Your body is forced out of its comfort pattern. Your brain can no longer rely on autopilot. It has to focus again. It has to reconnect with every step. And in that moment, your body starts correcting itself. Balance improves, coordination sharpens, pressure on the knees changes, movement becomes more complete, more aware, more controlled. What felt unnatural at first begins to feel like a reset button for your entire system. There is a reason this method is quietly used in training and recovery, even though most people never hear about it. It challenges the body in a way forward motion never does. It reverses patterns. It activates stabilizing muscles that are often neglected. It forces your joints to move in new angles. And most importantly, it brings your attention back to movement. That alone changes everything. Because once the brain becomes engaged again, the body follows with better control, better strength, and better awareness. This is not just about walking in a different direction. It is about breaking a loop that has been running for years without interruption. A loop that slowly weakens certain areas while overloading others. In this video, you are going to understand exactly what forward walking does to your body over time. Not the obvious benefits, but the hidden effects that most people never think about. You will see how simple repetition can lead to weakness, stiffness, and imbalance. Then you will discover how walking backwards begins to undo that process step by step. You will learn how it changes muscle activation, how it improves joint stability, and how it forces your brain to become active again. There are details here that are rarely discussed, even though they are simple to understand once you see them clearly. And by the end of this video, you will look at something as basic as walking in a completely different way. There is also something deeper happening beneath all of this. The body is designed to adapt. That is its strength. But adaptation without variation leads to limitation. When movement becomes too predictable, the body stops growing stronger and starts becoming efficient in a narrow way. That efficiency feels good in the short term, but over time it creates weakness in areas that are no longer used properly. This is why people who move every day can still experience pain, stiffness, or imbalance. It is not always about doing more. Sometimes it is about doing something different. Something that breaks the pattern, something that forces the system to reset and rebuild in a more balanced way. As this video continues, each piece will connect. The problem, the hidden damage, and the unexpected solution will come together in a way that makes sense. You will begin to see why such a simple change can have a powerful effect. You will understand why this method is gaining attention, even if it is still not widely talked about. And most importantly, you will see how small changes in daily movement can lead to big differences over time. This is not about trends or shortcuts. This is about understanding how the body really works and using that knowledge in a practical way. So stay with this till the end, because the final part will bring everything together in a way that changes how you think about movement itself. Not just walking, but how simple habits shape the condition of your body over time. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you understand it, you can start making changes that actually matter. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy learning simple ideas that can change the way you see your body and your mind, make sure to subscribe and stay connected. Forward walking feels so normal that no one stops to question it. It is the first thing learned as a child and the one movement repeated more than anything else for the rest of life. Step forward, step forward, step forward. The same rhythm, the same direction, the same pattern again and again. Days turn into months, months turn into years, and the body keeps repeating that exact motion without any real change. At first, nothing feels wrong. It feels smooth. It feels efficient. But that is exactly where the problem begins. Efficiency means the body is doing less work, not more. It starts choosing the easiest path every time. Certain muscles take over, while others slowly fade into the background. The legs move, but not all parts of the legs are working equally. The hips move, but only in a limited range. The posture begins to adapt to this narrow pattern, and over time, that adaptation becomes the new normal. Every step forward puts pressure on the same areas. The knees absorb impact in a repeated way. The hips tighten because they are not being used through their full range. The lower back begins to compensate when the hips lose flexibility. The shoulders slowly round forward as posture shifts. None of this happens in one day. It builds quietly. A slight stiffness here, a small discomfort there. Easy to ignore at first, easy to brush off, but the pattern does not stop. It keeps reinforcing itself. The body learns this limited way of moving and sticks to it. The more it repeats, the stronger the pattern becomes. And the stronger the pattern becomes, the harder it is to break. The truth is simple, but often ignored. The body adapts to what it does most. If it only moves in one direction, it becomes good at that direction, but it loses ability in others. Forward walking trains the body in a straight line. It does not challenge balance in a meaningful way. It does not require much awareness once it becomes automatic. The brain reduces effort. It switches to a low-energy mode. Movement becomes background activity. This might sound efficient, but it comes at a cost. When awareness drops, control drops with it. Small stabilizing muscles that are responsible for fine adjustments stop being used properly. They weaken over time. Larger muscles take over to keep things moving, but they are not designed for precision. They are designed for power. This imbalance creates a chain reaction. The knees start to rely on structures that are not meant to handle constant stress alone. The hips become tight because they are not opening fully. The ankles lose flexibility. The spine adjusts to maintain balance, often in a way that creates poor posture. The body still works, but it works in a limited and strained way. And because this happens slowly, it feels normal. There is no clear moment when everything changes. It is a gradual shift, a quiet transformation that goes unnoticed until discomfort appears. Your body adapts, but not always in a good way. It adapts to survive the pattern, not to stay balanced. It chooses efficiency over strength. It chooses repetition over variation. And over time, that choice leads to weakness in places that should be strong and tension in places that should be relaxed. What feels like a simple daily habit turns into a long-term pattern that shapes the entire structure of the body. As the pattern continues, the hidden damage becomes more serious. The muscles that are used the most begin to carry more load than they should. They become tight and overworked. At the same time, the muscles that are not being used properly start to weaken. These are often the stabilizing muscles, the ones that keep joints aligned, the ones that control small movements, the ones that protect the body from injury. When they weaken, the body loses a layer of protection. Movement becomes less controlled, less stable, less precise. The brain plays a key role in this process. When a movement is repeated enough times, the brain stops paying close attention to it. It becomes automatic. This is helpful in some ways, but it also means the brain is no longer actively guiding the movement. It trusts the pattern. It assumes everything is fine. But if the pattern itself is flawed, that flaw continues without correction. The brain is not checking, it is not adjusting, it is simply repeating what it has learned. This leads to a dangerous combination: overused muscles doing too much work, underused muscles doing too little, and a brain that is no longer fully engaged in the process. The result is a body that moves but does not move well. Balance begins to decline. Small shifts in weight become harder to control. Coordination decreases because the body is not used to handling variation. It expects the same pattern every time. When something changes even slightly, it struggles to adjust. This is where the risk of pain and injury increases. The joints are not supported as well as they should be. The muscles are not working together in a balanced way. The nervous system is not fully engaged in controlling movement. It is relying on memory instead of awareness. And when awareness is low, mistakes happen. A misstep, a sudden change in direction, an uneven surface. These small challenges become bigger risks because the body is not prepared to handle them properly. So the body becomes efficient, but fragile. It can perform the same movement over and over, but it struggles outside of that narrow pattern. It looks strong on the surface, but underneath there are weaknesses that have been building for years. This is not a failure of the body. It is simply the result of repetition without variation. The body did exactly what it was trained to do. It adapted to the demands placed on it, but those demands were limited, and so the adaptation is limited as well. Now here is where everything begins to shift. A simple change in direction creates a completely different response inside the body. Walking backwards may look unusual, but it challenges the system in a way forward walking never does. The moment the direction changes, the familiar pattern breaks. The brain can no longer rely on autopilot. It has to wake up. It has to pay attention again. Every step requires focus. Every movement requires control. The body is forced to relearn something it thought it had already mastered. Walking backwards activates muscles that are often ignored. The legs move differently. The hips open in a new way. The knees experience a different type of load. The ankles adjust to a new pattern. Even the posture begins to shift as the body tries to maintain balance in this unfamiliar direction. It is not just a reversal of movement, it is a reset of the entire system. The body can no longer rely on old habits. It has to rebuild coordination from the ground up. This process of relearning is powerful. When the brain becomes engaged again, it sends stronger signals to the muscles. It improves communication within the body. Movements become more controlled, more precise. The stabilizing muscles begin to activate because they are needed again. They are no longer ignored. They are part of the process. This brings balance back into the system, not instantly, but gradually with each step. There is also a shift in awareness. Walking backwards requires attention. It cannot be done carelessly. The mind has to stay present. This presence changes how the body moves. It reduces unnecessary tension. It improves coordination. It creates a stronger connection between the brain and the body. This connection is what allows real improvement to happen. Without it, movement stays automatic and limited. With it, movement becomes adaptable and strong. The science behind this is simple. When broken down, different movements activate different muscle groups. Forward walking mainly uses certain muscles in a repetitive way. Backward walking shifts the focus. It engages muscles that are not used as much in forward motion. This creates a more balanced activation pattern. The body is no longer relying on the same areas all the time. It distributes the work more evenly. The knees benefit from this change. The stress placed on them is different. Instead of constant forward impact, the movement becomes more controlled and varied. This helps strengthen the muscles around the knee, providing better support. The hips also benefit. They are forced to move through a different range, reducing tightness and improving flexibility. The overall result is a more balanced and resilient structure. The brain also benefits in a significant way because backward walking is less familiar. It requires more focus. This increases brain activity. It improves coordination because the body has to respond to new challenges. The nervous system becomes more active, more engaged. This leads to better control over movement. It is not just about the muscles, it is about the entire system working together more effectively. When the brain focuses more, the body becomes more aware. Small adjustments happen naturally. Balance improves because the body is constantly correcting itself. Coordination improves because movements are not just repeated, they are controlled and refined. This creates a stronger, more adaptable body, one that can handle variation instead of being limited by repetition. This is why backward walking does not just add a new movement, it changes the quality of movement. It brings awareness back, it activates neglected muscles, it improves coordination, it strengthens the connection between the brain and the body. All of these changes work together to correct the imbalances created by forward walking. Forward walking leads to repetition, and repetition without variation leads to imbalance. Backward walking introduces variation, and variation creates balance. This is the core idea. It is simple but powerful. The body needs different types of movement to stay healthy. It needs challenges that force it to adapt in a balanced way. Without that, it becomes efficient in a limited pattern and weak outside of it. This is why the effect feels like a reset. It does not just add something new, it changes what is already there. It corrects the pattern. It rebuilds strength in neglected areas. It improves coordination. It increases awareness. It brings the system back into balance. It does not just move the body, it resets it. As this process continues, other benefits begin to appear. Posture starts to improve because the body is no longer locked into a single pattern. The muscles that support the spine become more active. The shoulders begin to align more naturally. The overall structure of the body becomes more balanced. This leads to a more upright, more stable posture without forcing it. Knee discomfort can begin to reduce as the muscles around the joint become stronger and more supportive. The pressure is no longer concentrated in one pattern. It is distributed more evenly. This reduces strain and improves function. The legs become stronger as a whole because more muscles are involved in movement. This creates a more stable foundation. The mind also becomes sharper. The increased focus required for backward walking stimulates the brain. It improves awareness. It enhances coordination. This mental engagement carries over into other activities. It creates a stronger connection between thought and movement. This connection is key to maintaining balance and control in everyday life. There are also situations where this method is used in recovery. When the body needs to rebuild strength and coordination, simple forward movement is not always enough. A different approach is needed, one that challenges the system in a controlled way. Backward walking provides that challenge. It encourages the body to relearn proper movement patterns. It activates muscles that support recovery. It improves coordination and balance in a way that forward walking alone cannot. At the same time, it is important to approach this with awareness. The movement is different, and the body needs time to adjust. Starting slow is essential. The focus should be on control, not speed. Each step should be deliberate. Awareness should stay high. This is not about rushing through the movement. It is about feeling it, understanding it, and allowing the body to adapt gradually. Being careful is part of the process. The unfamiliar direction requires attention to surroundings. It requires a clear space and a steady pace. This ensures that the movement remains safe while still being effective. Staying aware is key. The goal is to engage the brain, not to move carelessly. This awareness is what makes the movement beneficial. It keeps the body connected and responsive. As the body adapts, the movement becomes more natural. The initial awkwardness fades, the coordination improves, the balance becomes stronger. What once felt unusual begins to feel controlled and effective. The body starts to recognize this new pattern and integrate it into its system. This integration is what creates lasting change. It is not a temporary effect. It is a shift in how the body moves and responds. The process continues with each step, each repetition, each moment of awareness. The body keeps adapting, but now it is adapting in a balanced way. It is no longer stuck in a single pattern. It is expanding its range, improving its coordination, and strengthening its structure. This ongoing change builds a more resilient system, one that can handle different movements, different challenges, and different conditions without breaking down. The shift from repetition to variation changes everything. It transforms movement from something automatic into something active and controlled. It brings awareness back into the process. It strengthens the connection between the brain and the body, and it creates a foundation that supports long-term health and stability. Sometimes moving forward is not the answer, not in life, and not in the way your body moves every single day. Progress is often seen as going ahead, doing more, pushing further, but the body does not always need more. Sometimes it needs something different. Sometimes it needs a break from the pattern it has been stuck in for years. And sometimes the real change begins the moment you stop repeating what feels normal and start exploring what feels unfamiliar. That is where growth hides. That is where balance begins to return. There is something powerful in stepping out of habit, in doing the opposite of what has always been done. Walking backwards is not just a physical action, it is a shift in awareness. It forces you to slow down. It forces you to pay attention. It brings you back into the moment. And in that moment, your body starts to reconnect with itself in a way that forward motion alone cannot create. Muscles that were silent begin to respond. Joints that were stiff begin to move more freely. The mind becomes active again, guiding each step instead of ignoring it. Over time, small changes like this create a bigger impact than most people expect. Not because they are complicated, but because they break the cycle. They challenge the system. They rebuild what has been neglected. And they remind the body how to move with control, with awareness, and with balance. This is not about replacing forward walking. It is about completing it, giving the body what it has been missing for so long. Sometimes the solution is not about adding something new. It is about correcting what has been repeated without question. It is about understanding that comfort does not always mean correctness. And once that understanding becomes clear, even the simplest actions begin to carry deeper meaning. Every step becomes an opportunity to improve, to reset, and to move better than before. So sometimes moving forward is not the answer. Sometimes you need to go backwards to fix what's broken. If this made you see something in a new way, stay connected, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And try it for yourself. Just a few steps, slowly, with awareness. Your body will feel the difference, and over time it will thank you.